All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to week 4 of the 239 Flathead build here at Benny Auto Parts. We have gotten the short block together, and this morning we've got the front cover installed, and we're going to finish up installing the oil pan this morning, and then we're going to put a little paint on the block on the side before we roll it over, and we'll be putting the Offenhauser aluminum cylinder heads on it this morning as well. So tune in and we'll get started and kind of let you see what's going on. Kind of checking the torque on oil pan bolts, make sure they're good. These old engines, I tell you, sometimes you can only get cork oil pan gaskets for them, and I tell you, you got to really be very cautious and use the right amount of sealer in the right place to get them to seal up good, because you sure don't want no oil pan leaks. Alright, all that looks good. So we've got oil pan in place, front seal, front timing covers in place. So we're going to put a little paint on this thing. Might just take a few minutes to get some paint on it, let it tack off a little bit, then we'll roll it over and start putting the head studs in it and the Offenhauser heads installed. So just stay tuned. So we get a good stick on the paint, sticks to it and adheres to it real well. I might have mentioned before, we use lacquer thinner. I like lacquer thinner to clean things up. It dries fast and leaves no oil, no residue behind. So this is VHT paint. It's real good high temperature engine paint. It's good up to about 550 degrees. Does a good job in cover as well. We always like to, we like to paint everything for the customer on his engine, make it look good, make it look more professional, and gives it that good curve appeal, if you would. So we're going to take a few minutes and spray a little paint on this thing, and then we'll get this thing flipped over and start on the top side. Everyone, welcome back. We are going to start the process of installing the heads on the 239 Flathead. We're going to use head studs in this engine instead of regular head bolts. Studs give you a much better clamping compound. Clamping pressure is much better. So basically, the studs, you just screw the studs in, you put a little sealer on them, of course, and it's recommended that studs just go finger tight. You don't really tighten them up with a wrench, you just bottom them out finger tight and you're good to go on the studs. So what we're going to do, we're going to probably put 4 corners in, and then we're going to check, we're going to lay the gasket on there, make sure it fits, and then we're going to lay one of these heads on there and make sure that they fit good. So we're going to go ahead and do that real quick. One thing I'm going to check and see if these are what we call blind holes or if they go into the water jacket. It makes a difference as far as the sealer that you use. if you're going into a blind hole versus a open hole, which is into the water jacket. So we can check that real quick. Basically just got a little probe here, and that's a water jacket hole. Water jacket. Oh yeah, there's it's like the top row are blind. In other words, they don't go anywhere. But then you get down here, these all go into the water jacket. So we're going to put some sealer on these. But to start with, we're just going to do some checks. I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, put the 4 corners in. Again, there's stuff that you'll find. And then I'm going to get a head gasket. This particular engine is going to use copper head gaskets. So this is a copper head gasket, which is recommended for use with aluminum heads on these flatheads. So these particular heads are Offenhauser heads. So we're going to see. We're going to lay the gasket up there and just kind of see how it fits. Make sure all of our water passages are good and open. Yeah, it all looks good there. And then we're going to lay a head on it and just kind of rotate the engine. I'm going to put a head on it. We'll show you one of these aluminum heads. We're going to put a head on it, and then we're going to put 4 bolts on it. And just kind of snug it. We're not going to torque it, and we're going to roll the engine over and make sure that we have plenty of clearance as far as pistons and valves go. Offenhauser aluminum head. You can see real nicely machined head. These particular heads came from Speedway, which is a big well-known flathead dealer. And we're just going to sit this head on there. This is a problem sometimes with studs. There we go. So the shorter row of studs is on the bottom. Are made by ARP, which is probably the best known fastener company in the world, and probably got the best products in the world. So they use stainless steel washers. Okay, these are finished off with some real nice looking acorn nuts that really give it a real good appearance. Again, we're just going to snug them. We're not going to do a lot of torque on them right now. Okay, so we got the head in place. Got 4 corners on it with a gasket on it. Now we're going to give it a rotate. All right. Well, we've got a rotation of over 360 degrees, so everything looks good. We're going to put it back at top dead center. Number 1 is up. Everything looks good on that, so we're ready to proceed with copper coating the gasket, laying the head on there, and putting all the studs in. It's going to be easier to put the 4 corner studs in first and then go in and add the other studs as we go along. Just screw them right through the head. So that's what we're going to do next. So let's get going. these studs, all these head studs, go into the water jacket. So you need to put a little sealer actually on the stud, because you don't want the water running up past the threads and coming out through the top of the cylinder and actually, or top of the block, and actually could possibly have a little water leak, or could actually get over into the cylinders themselves. So to prevent that, we're going to use a product that we use a lot of. It's called Permatex. It's a thread sealant, high temperature thread sealant. It's a silicone type product, and it works real good. So we're going to go ahead and put a few of our head studs in, and we're going to put this sealant on the threads. One thing I have noticed in flatheads and building flatheads, and we've done several here at the shop, we've probably done 4 or 5 over the years, but anything that goes into the water jacket on a flathead, you've got to use thread sealant on it, because that water will actually get around those threads and get out. It's really bad on the water pumps. It's got all your water pump bolts. You have to really seal those really well, or you'll end up having a water leak, and it'll start corroding around the head of the bolt where it actually works its way out. Got a good little coating on these. And these are the short ones. I think these are short ones. Yeah, these are the short ones. Yeah, they go on the bottom row. Torque sequence. There's 24 studs and nuts and washers on each head. Of course, you always start in the center, and it gives you your sequence: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, so on and so forth. You always work from the inside out, and you do it in 3 steps. First step, 20 foot-pounds. Second step's 40 foot-pounds, and then the final step is 55 foot-pounds. So you go around 3 times torquing these bolts down. Okay, head gasket in place. Everything's looking good. About ready to put the old head on it. These are in place, and they finger tight. Again, here's the head. See the combustion chamber in it. Now we've got to start putting these 24 studs in. So let's just go down the line here. Again, they just go hand tight. Washers for each of them. Washers will be concave on one side or the other on certain applications, but these are not. They're just flat. So they could go on either way. It doesn't really matter which way you put them on. Just a note for anybody using ARP studs on different things. They use concave washers on some of their applications. Okay, 24 washers installed. The next thing is the nuts. Now, ARP recommends using their ARP Moly Lube for installing and torquing these nuts. Torque sequence is 20, which ain't much. I don't think I can get 20 on this thing. So can't get 20, but let's do 30. And we're gonna pull 30 pounds to start with. Okay, rotates 360 degrees. Thing looks good. So we're going to go ahead and lay this head gasket up there. And we've already kind of test fitted it one time. We're going to look one more time. Looks nice, I think it's good. We're going to go ahead and spray this gasket. Alright, about ready to put a head gasket on it. Give it a little spray one more time. This engine, the water doesn't cross over from one side to the other side like the later models do. It actually has two thermostats and two radiator hoses on top, and each go to the radiator. Each has an outlet for each side, and the lower off the water pumps is the same way. It goes to the radiator on one side and the other one goes to the radiator on the other side. So it's individual cooling on each head, so you have to run two temperature gauges so you know what the temperature is on each side of the engine. So that's why you run two temperature gauges in the car, at least I do. The ones that I've seen are like that. See, most of your late model cars, especially Chevrolets and Fords, the intake manifold sits on it and it has a water passage crossover, right, where it crosses from one head to the other as the engine's running front and back. But the old school flathead Ford, that hadn't come about yet. So.
And I guess with these ribs in that, those vanes are designed to help try to cool it.
It's cooling, just like an air-cooled motor is. Same principle. Yeah. Cool them off, and plus they look cool too.
Yeah. Now some of the other ones are just flat. They don't have no.
Well, the originals are just flat cast iron.
Right.
Yeah, they are. They don't have any cooling. Of course, now water runs through the head.
Right.
The water circulates around the head and through the thermostat area right here. So it does have some water circulation in the head. And then that's how it reads. These temperature gauges read right here. One of these is for a heater hose. In other words, the hot water will come out of the heater hose and go to your heater core. So I think they got one on each side. Yeah, this side's only got one. This side's got two. Studs, washers, nuts installed. We're going to do a little preliminary tight down on them. 55 foot-pounds. This will be the last pull. And here we go. Two, 23, 24. All right, that's a wrap on the heads. Heads are installed. Everything's good. All right, thank you everyone for tuning in today. This concludes week 4 of the 239 flathead. Again, this is assembly Saturday. Come in on Saturday morning, and we got a lot accomplished today. We was able to get the oil pan installed and sealed. We got the front timing cover installed, and we got these Offenhauser heads installed, which includes the ARP studs, washers, and bolts. So that is that's kind of a wrap for today. The next process that you'll see is we'll be putting the intake manifold on it, putting the water pumps on it, and doing some final little paint and touch-up assembly, and we'll have this thing almost ready to get on our engine stand and give it a little test run. So once again, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the video, and looking forward to seeing you on the next chat. Thank you.